Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. Erik ten Hag has lost the plot today. Absolutely got every single decision wrong, every single substitution wrong, was tactically outclassed, technically outclassed, and physically outclassed today. And while I have been very positive around the manager and Erik ten Hag, saying I am ten Hag in, he is massively at fault today. There is big problems at Manchester United. There's so many big problems at United at the top of the club, the recruitment, that I think sacking another manager does not solve the problems. But if Erik ten Hag does not make big changes and continues this way and continues to be stubborn and play the same underperforming players, he will end up getting himself sacked, because that was a sackable manager performance tonight. I'm saying that now. I don't understand how Rashford played for that many minutes, how Højlund comes off before Rashford. Marcus Rashford meant to be Manchester born and bred. Marcus Rashford was barely running. Marcus Rashford was pulling out of duels. Marcus Rashford was pulling out of tackles. Marcus Rashford could barely be bothered to head the ball. But Marcus Rashford never gets taken off the pitch. I'm a Marcus Rashford fan. I am not a Marcus Rashford hater. You know me. I've always backed Rashford and I defend him when he gets hate. But Marcus Rashford should not be starting for Manchester United with his current display, the lack of effort he's putting in, let alone be coming off before players like Rasmus Højlund. And I'm saying that I'm someone that is back ten Hag and is still ten Hag in, but very much on the verge of turning on this manager because he's completely at fault today. But I just know there's so many big problems at this club that I just can't, just not solved by sacking the manager. Who would replace him? I think ten Hag's a good manager, and I think United ruin managers. I think United ruin players, and I think United is the common denominator and all these managerial players, all these managerial failures, all these player flops, because we are a shambles club. But I look at the performance today from Manchester United. It was absolutely disgraceful. It was absolutely embarrassing from this club. Manchester City weren't even at their best. Manchester City weren't even trying, and the only positive, the only good thing to come from this game was Andre Onana, who was incredible, and if it wasn't for him, we would have lost 6-0 today. Yes, the first 20 minutes are good. Yes, we were good up until the shambles penalty, and in the first half, I was really angry at VAR. I was really angry at the penalty decision. It was an absolute disgrace, but that second half performance was so bad that it doesn't matter about the penalty now. We lost that because we were rubbish. Maybe if it wasn't for the awful penalty, maybe it'd been a different game, because we have this thing where we play well for 20 minutes, we go 1-0 down through a silly goal we concede against the run-of play, or a silly penalty, or VAR screwing us over, and when we go 1-0 down, we go absolutely dreadful. Then we come out in the second half and we always concede within a couple minutes of the second half. The players give up and then we're absolutely dreadful throughout, and that is a repetitive thing at United. The player mentality is a big problem. The players are a massive problem at this club. The lack of effort they put in today was an absolute joke. The lack of running, everything from the players they gave up at 2-0 was an absolute disgrace. But Erik ten Hag cost us today big time, because when we're 1-0 down, we have opportunity to get back into the game, but then we go so defensive. We had opportunity to get back into the game, but his lineup was wrong. Tactically starting an average centre-back and Lindelof at left-back over Reguilon, what are you doing there? I get Varane isn't fit, but the lineup is wrong. The substitutions are wrong. The tactical decisions are wrong. Your tactics aren't working. We had 3 wins in a row, and I said these 3 wins in a row were not convincing in the slightest. We barely got over the line versus Burnley, Sheffield United, and of course Brentford and Copenhagen, 4 teams that we should be comfortably beating. We barely got over the line because the style of football we're playing is not sustainable. We're barely getting over the line because we are predictable. When we attack, we have 4 ways of attacking. Bash the ball up and Højlund holds up the ball. And I have to say, I feel so sorry for Rasmus Højlund, because he's trying to do everything, but no one is doing anything for him today. Højlund holds up the ball, he dribbles the ball, he passes the ball so well, he makes those runs. Rasmus Højlund does absolutely everything correct, but no one does anything for him. No one gives him any service. McTominay has an opportunity to play him through where he can score, and he doesn't. The decision-making in the final third, awful. But we will get into that in a bit. But United have 4 ways of attacking. It is bash the ball up to Rasmus Højlund. He holds it up and lays it onto one of our wingers. That's number 1. The second way is Bruno Eriksson, one of our midfielders, does a through ball, and Rashford, Højlund, Anthony, whoever's in the attack runs into it. Transition plays direct. I mean, every single way we attack is direct. The third way is we switch the ball out wide and expect our wingers to do something out of nothing. And the 4th way of attacking is we press them and try and force them into a mistake. We have 4 ways of attacking. 1 of them is wingers doing something out of nothing. 2 of them is going incredibly direct, and the 4th way is just completely pressing them. And that does not work, because when option A is not working, you need an option B. Man City can attack like that, but they have an option B where they can play through their midfield, can build up through their midfield. But Manchester United can't play through their midfield. They can't build up through their midfield. There's absolutely zero balance in the Manchester United midfield, and part of that is because we don't have those players. But another part of that is you take off the only guy that can play as a number 6 in Amrabat, Amrabat, and you play McTominay deeper. McTominay is not a 6. McTominay has never been a 6. McTominay is an average player. This McTominay experiment needs to end. Yes, he comes on and scores 2 goals versus Brentford, but that doesn't make him a good player when he's been at United 5 seasons and been consistently poor and average. McTominay has 12 crap games, has 2 games where he plays like prime Zidane, then he starts playing again, then has another 12 crap games. Just because he comes off and scores a goal, that's fine. McTominay is a bench player. He should be nothing more than a bench player at Man United, and he's not a number 6. And the fact that you take off Amrabat ahead of McTominay and Eriksen, who are much worse than Amrabat in that first half, just because they're more of a goal threat, and play McTominay out of position as a 6, will get you sacked. My biggest criticism of Erik ten Hag is you're playing Bruno at right wing, which is consistently not working when this guy's dropping 10 out of 10 performances for Portugal, playing as a 10. You're playing Bruno out of position at right wing. You won't sub off Marcus Rashford, which is going to cause the dressing room to turn on you because of favouritism. You're now continuously playing McTominay, who's not good enough, but now playing McTominay out of position as a 6. That's not working. You're basically neglecting Mason Mount, this guy you insisted on signing for McTominay, who's not good enough. You're then neglecting the other guy you signed, Amrabat, who's a number 6, for McTominay, who's not a number 6. You'll be neglecting your best player, Bruno Fernandes, who's been crap because he's playing on the right wing. You're not taking off Rashford. You're taking off your new signing, Højlund, because Rashford can't come off. And it's like Erik ten Hag is just keeping on players on the pitch that can score goals because he's ran out of things to do. What you need to do, Erik ten Hag, is change it up. There is no balance in the midfield. Amrabat should not have come off because the first half was actually all right, but the second half we could have conceded 3, 4, 5 goals because they ran for our midfield like that. And part of this is on the pressing you're coaching because we're set up out of possession so badly that they can run through us. Part of it is on the lack of balance in midfield. But if Amrabat had stayed on that pitch that second half, Manchester City wouldn't have had half the chances they had. Yes, Amrabat didn't have the best game because he's got so much to do because there's so much space and that's the way we set up in midfield. But Amrabat would have helped a lot today. Manchester United need to go back to basics. Erik ten Hag needs to start playing the kids. I've been very loud and clear on that because I tell you what, these players are an absolute disgrace. This is what I'm thinking now. Maino might not be ready, but you know what? Maino, Mesbri, Amrabat, play them in the midfield. Højlund, Garnacho, Pellistri, play them in the attack. And whoever's fit in the defence, you play in the defence. Varane, Maguire, Reguilon, Delo. That's what you've got to do in defence, and Onana in goal. Because the only positive today was Onana in goal. Maguire and Evans were all right for the most part. But Marcus Rashford needs to be dropped. Bruno Fernandes, you play him in the middle or you don't play him at all. Erik ten Hag lost the game today. I will be honest with you. The pressing at United is not working. The tactics aren't working. And we're seeing the same tactics time and time again, which are predictable and not good enough. There is no style. There's no identity at United. If we're losing games, but I can see progression, I can see style, I can see Manchester United playing a better brand of football, I would be happy. But we're losing games playing extremely badly. No style, nothing positive to go on. You know, there's no progress. We're getting worse and worse and worse. And towards the end of last season at ten Hag, and we had a good season last season, but I remember the final games of last season, it was like a slop. We were just narrowly winning games 1-0, but we were getting those wins over the line last season because Marcus Rashford was in form. He was getting the goals. Now Marcus Rashford isn't getting the goals because no one else in the attack's getting the goals. It's drying up. And part of that is due to the awful decision-making in the final third. But we're getting no goals in the final third. So our reliance on Rashford is, just as completely shown because when Rashford's poor, no one else can step up. And I know people argue that Rashford and Bruno should be dropped, particularly Rashford right now. But the problem is, will anyone else step up? And maybe that's why he's not dropping them. But basically, we got away with it at the end of last season because Luke Shaw and Martinez were so good in build-up that we could completely avoid the midfield when building up, which was fine. So we could get the ball to the attack better. Rashford and Bruno were making something out of nothing to cover for these bad performances because we've been playing like this since March of last year. That's not a lie when I say we've been playing like this since March of last year. This obsession to go direct, this obsession to be a transition-based team needs to stop. We need to go back to the basics, learn to build up in the midfield because plan A we can do, but we need a plan B when plan A is not working and we don't have a plan B. We need to go back to the basics. We need to learn how to make runs off the ball, simple passes in the second half. The players need to work harder. The players are disgraced. The squad is physically and athletically so unfit. The technicality of these players is awful. But I feel like Manchester United ruin players. I feel like we ruin managers because I don't know why Mason Mount didn't start today. I don't know why Bruno keeps playing right wing. I don't know why Højlund comes off before Rashford and Amrabat comes off before McTominay and Lindelof's playing at Reguilon over Reguilon at left back as a tactical decision. I don't understand the substitutions. I don't understand the press. Ten Hag got completely outclassed. And I'm not Ten Hag out because I think you can sack the manager and the problems will still stay at Manchester United. There's so many problems at Manchester United that it goes beyond sacking another manager. But but he is completely at fault today for being naive. He needs to change the way that he is playing. And I think United is the biggest problem. I think those at the top is the biggest problem at this club, because Manchester United run football players, United run football managers. Ten Hag is not a bad manager. Look what he did at Ajax, and look at how Ajax is struggling now. But the poor recruitment, strategy and structure around Ten Hag has cost him, because our scouts have told Ten Hag to sign Mason Mount, our recruitment's told Ten Hag to sign Mason Mount. Feels like a waste of £55 million because you're not even playing him. If Manchester United had proper owners, proper recruitment, proper strategy, Kim Min-jae would be here, Harry Kane would be here, Højlund looks like a good signing, Amrabat could be here, Gravenberch could have gone in, a right winger could have gone in. Instead of blowing 140 million on Mount and Anthony, Manchester United could have spent 140 million on Kim Min-jae, Gravenberch, Nico Williams, Marcus Leonardo, another striker to come in, potentially another midfielder like Max and Kakare that can help with build up. This club is a mess. The next manager that comes in under Erik ten Hag will be in the same struggles because of the structure of the club, because of the people around him. Ten Hag is at fault today. Ten Hag's job is under pressure. Ten Hag is losing the absolute plot. But I will not be Ten Hag out, because the next manager that comes in under Ten Hag will have the same problems until the structure changes. We need a full sell only. Unfortunately, Ratcliffe's coming in, 25% this, 25% that. That is not enough. We completely need a full sale of this club. We need a reset. We need a rebuild. You look at Spurs rebranding so quickly, the right signings, the right manager, the right attitude, it can easily be done. But when you've got toxic mentality at the top of the club, it creates a toxic mentality in the dressing room. The manager becomes stubborn. It's like Ollie 2.0. It's like we're witnessing Ollie again. And we can sack Ten Hag, we'll get a new manager, and we'll get a new manager bounce. We'll have a good season. We'll get back in the top four. Then things will go wrong again until there's a full sale of this football club. So full sale is what we need. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.